All right. Hi, everyone. Namaste and welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited about today's episode because I am going to be chatting with my new friend, Marissa. And actually, I didn't ask you how to pronounce your last name. Can you tell the audience?
In Spanish, it's Guerra, but I usually just say Guerra.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So Marissa and I met for me in a very unlikely way. We'll ask her how unlikely it is for her, but through Instagram. I actually don't spend a ton of time on Instagram in general. And then when I do, I've never actually made a friend through Instagram. So this is really exciting. I was so captured by Marissa's content because she is a yoga teacher, but she has a whole life and history beyond that, and now is on a new venture again, which we're going to get into all of that. If you're a listener of the show, you know I'm very passionate about yoga philosophy, and Marissa has a gift in the ability to take these concepts of yoga philosophy and break them down in a way that makes them so easy to digest and to understand, and most importantly, to implement into our everyday lives, because that's the whole point behind the philosophy. It's not just to read some esoteric content that we never use, it's to understand how we can apply it in our own lives so that we can move towards liberation, towards freedom. In our own lives, and then help others to do the same, expand that outward. So, Marissa, thank you so much for being here. I am really looking forward to this conversation.
I'm so pleased to be here. I think sometimes we forget that the purpose of social media is to be social. And I love to collect new friends on my journey wherever I'm going, whether that's in the digital landscape or physical out in the world. And I think you just see a kindred spirit or a simpatico. And I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, she gets it. Like she's
yeah,
teaching the way that I seek to teach.
yes.
And it's just so important, I think, as yoga teachers that we not only like cuddle the information and experiment with our own lives and have the confidence to share that out, but also like cuddle the community and bring
Yeah,
people in and go, this is what I'm working through, or this is what's tripping me up, or this is where I want to be, or I love the way you frame that, and have the space and time to really like experiment with each other and tease things apart and speak openly and honestly. And I think just especially with women, when I see women outreaching and supporting. Like when you came
hmm.
across my screen, I was like, oh, this woman, Katie, she's always like liking my posts or adding a little nugget or sharing a piece of wisdom. And I just really loved seeing your name pop up on my phone and felt like, we could really help each other here. And what I do want to say also to your audience is that as I was moving through graduate school, I took a business entrepreneurship class as I am standing up my yoga business fully now and stepping
Mhm.
into fully the seat of the teacher and the entrepreneur, the yogapreneur, that you were so helpful in my research. And I just cold outreach to you, like, I need to speak to someone who knows what's going on here. And I need to lift
Yeah,
under the hood and like ask you some really deep questions about the
yeah,
challenge of teaching philosophy in the West. And would you be open for that? And you were so
yeah,
game. And I'm just so appreciative. And yeah, like, let's get into
yeah.
it. Let's just start
Yeah.
cooking.
Well, I thank you. And I think, what you were saying about the kindred spirits, I absolutely saw that in you as well. And I couldn't help but like and comment on your posts. And that to me, you're right. Social media is meant to make us social. And unfortunately,
Mhm.
there are a lot of circumstances where it doesn't. But when it's done well, you really elicit an emotional reaction or response in someone in a good way that makes you want to connect with the person, want to add to the conversation, want to go deeper. And that's really what your posts have done for me. And I think for a lot of people, you get a lot of
Thank
engagement
you.
on your posts.
Mhm.
And it really truly is a gift. So I thank you for it. I thank you for putting it out there. We see a lot of stuff out in the world about yoga, the act of putting our bodies into different shapes, even
Sure.
about meditation and breath work, but there is far less media
Mhm.
coverage on the philosophy end. And so to be doing that and doing it so beautifully is like I said, a gift. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's my aim, really, Katie, is like Instagram is a visual platform, right?
Mhm,
And we are
mhm.
constantly looking for shiny, bright objects and things to keep us like kind of engaged and on the app. And
Yeah.
I would be remiss to not know that like the asana and the beautiful yogini against a waterfall or in Bali, like that's captivating.
Yeah.
And so as I'm experimenting with my own brand and my own
Yeah.
messaging, what I really want is to like tap into the function of Instagram as a visual platform, but then really
Mhm.
hook my followers or my community to like go deeper in the caption with me and to spend
Yeah.
time in my head and in my heart and the way that yoga philosophy moves through my body and through my teaching, and double click into that deeper sense of like what this practice actually is beyond physical movement and beyond these like
Yeah.
beautiful shapes that we get to put our bodies in. And
Yes.
that's kind of been my North Star, which is like, okay, I fully realize that the platform is visual, but what I have to give is so much more. And so how can
Yeah.
I play within this sandbox and make my
Yeah.
content beautiful and colorful and all
Yeah.
these things, but then also really deliver the heart of the practice? And if I don't have both sides of the equation, it doesn't feel like something that's authentic to post to me.
Yeah. And you're right, it is a visual platform and you do beautifully with your visuals. They are stunning, but then you
Thanks.
have the meat. You have the, what is really needed. So maybe someone's called in by the visual because it is so beautiful, but when they
Mhm.
start reading, there's a lot of depth there. And it's quite honestly, for me, it's one of the reasons why I don't spend a lot of time on Instagram and I'm primarily on Substack because Substack
Yeah.
isn't really a visual platform. And as an entrepreneur, you have to know your gifts and your talents. And well, just as a human, you do. And I
Yeah.
am not great at the visuals, which is why Instagram
Mm.
is not my number one platform. That's not where I spend the bulk of my time.
Mhm.
I love words. And so, but you have the gift for both. So it's just great. Everyone go follow Marissa. I'm going to put your link in the show
Thank
notes.
you. Yeah.
So tell us, give us the shape of your journey. How did you come
Mhm.
to yoga in
Mhm.
general? And then how did you come to this place where you are? Because I do know a good bit about your journey
Mhm.
and it's a wild ride. And I would love my audience to hear it.
It's a wild ride. I feel like it's one of those, like, when you go to Six Flags or like a theme park and you got to take off your earrings because you're going to be in the
Yeah.
roller coaster and it's going to rattle. It's like, take off your earrings. Here we are. Um, and I don't mean to sound so corny about this, but I feel like I didn't find yoga. Yoga found me.
Mm,
And there was no part of me that was like interested in yoga because I saw it as kind of like trendy, or I was working a really stiff corporate job that demanded a lot of me, and I didn't really see the value in like going to a class to lie down and do yin yoga. I was like really in heat and yang and production
yeah.
energy.
Mhm.
Um, which like if your listeners, if anyone is listening to this, like you need yoga. If that resonates with you, like you're
Yes.
precisely the person who needs this. But I'll tell you, Katie, like I had such a big chip on my shoulder because I was a competitive gymnast growing up. And so I was like, oh, child's play, like yoga, like
Yeah.
putting my body in a straddle, cool, and I
Yeah.
just never really wanted to go towards it. And then the pandemic happened, and um, I felt like I was trapped in my life. I think, like a lot of people, had a realization during the pandemic that came to a screeching halt, and you get to really like review your choices and where you are and where you thought you'd
Mhm.
be, or where you're putting your time and talent. And I had been working in therapy with my therapist personally to leave a very high pressured, very high impact job, and experimenting and role playing of like what that would feel like, and starting to lose an identity that I had spent years creating
Mhm.
and a career that I was genuinely very proud of.
Yeah.
And so all of that was happening around the same time that I was like living in a one-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn and feeling like I had outgrown my job. I had outgrown, I don't mean to be arrogant to say I outgrew New York, but like I was needing to be in a new environment. I needed to
Mhm.
be out of the city, and something inside of me was deeply fatigued in a way that
Mhm.
like sleep couldn't fully catch up to or
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
combat. Like it's like your soul tired.
Yeah.
Um, And around that time, my brother bought me a yoga mat and gave it to me for my birthday. It was spring of 2021. And I was just like, fumbling around on the free YouTube classes in my living room and feeling like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a nice stretch for my body. Like, this feels good.
Yeah.
And just getting comfortable or getting immersed into this physical practice. And
Hmm.
then by June of that year, I had quit my job. I resigned my lease. I bought a one-way ticket to Europe, and I just kind of like crumbled in the arms of my very best friend. And we
Hmm.
walked the Camino de Santiago. I immediately put myself in nature, and I just
Hmm.
realized like I got to leave New York 1.0 behind. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening to me or within me, but something is calling me to be and feel different. And I was
Hmm.
coming out of a depression, really, and
Yeah.
working through that. Um, so on that trip, I just kept buying another plane ticket and buying another plane ticket and buying another plane ticket and found my way to Southeast Asia, where I took a yoga teacher training in Sri Lanka. And when I tell you, like, I had no desire to become a yoga teacher. I had no intention to become a yoga teacher. I just wanted to be on a retreat where I could understand, like, oh, well, what is this practice that I've been doing in my living room? And what's
Yeah.
the meaning behind this? And what's the history and what's the philosophy? And by the end of
Yeah.
those 3 weeks, I was hooked. Like, I was just
Yeah.
like, I'm in the world.
Yeah.
I want to be here. This feels nourishing to me. This feels right. This feels
Yeah.
like deep bodily wisdom that I didn't know was
Hmm.
available to me.
Hmm.
I come from a family of Christian and Catholics, and so like, you know, very dogmatic and kind of didactic learning. And
Hmm.
so being, uh, finding my spirituality in nature and through a
Hmm.
different avenue felt totally, I was awestruck and I was
Yeah.
uplifted and I
Hmm.
felt safe and I felt strong in a way that I hadn't felt before. And I just started devouring books, Katie. Like I was
Yeah.
reading the Bhagavad Gita, I was reading the Yoga Sutras, I was reading Light on Yoga, I was reading Osho, I was reading
Hmm.
Marianne Williamson, and just like all of these really um, spiritual texts and
Hmm.
authors that were like really clicking in and digging into like how
Yeah.
are we meant to live, like what is the meaning
Yes.
here and like what
Yeah.
is the compass and maybe like the map to get us back
Hmm.
on track.
Yeah.
And so I left Sri Lanka with a 200-hour certificate and a hunger. And for the next like truly 4 years, I was like, I can't teach yoga. Like I barely just got introduced to this thing, and like
Yeah.
how weird would it be for me to immediately turn around and start teaching when I have so much to learn. So like
Yeah.
I read the Gita multiple times and I started studying it,
Yeah.
and I left New York. I went to California for another job opportunity. I wound up I'm a marketer by trade, and so I was chief of staff to the global head of brand at Google, and I found myself like in another corporate environment. This time it was
Hmm.
tech, but at least it had gotten me to California.
Yeah.
And in the Bay Area, I mean, I don't know if you've been or if you've spent time there, but living in the Bay, which is like so geographically gifted and beautiful, and I just felt a drive to like clean up my appetite, clean up my sleep schedule, get outside for hikes, watch
Yeah.
sunsets at the Presidio. I was practicing yoga every day and I
Yeah.
had this like voracious appetite for learning.
Hmm.
And then I got into studying like psychology and Pima Chodron and The Body
Hmm.
Keeps a Score
Hmm.
and Gabor Mate and
Hmm.
all of these types of authors.
Yeah.
And what I didn't really know then, but I know now, is that I was having a spiritual awakening.
Hmm.
And I felt a new self emerging while I hadn't fully shed the like corporate Marissa and like this is
Yeah.
what's expected of me. And I have this like
Yeah.
role that I have to fulfill. And
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
salary is keeping me really safe and warm and
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah.
And there was inherent tension between the person that I was becoming and the person that, like, I still was, but maybe wanted to shed some of those layers of identity.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll save you from all the other details, but like a series of events happened where then I separated from another company and then I went to India. And I really wanted to challenge myself to live in an ashram and to study in the Himalayas where the practice started and learn
Yeah.
from the source.
Mm-hmm.
And that was such a transformative experience for me because I thought I'll go to India for like the 28-day training or whatever. I wound up staying for 4 months.
Yeah.
And just completely rocked my world in terms of like what is this practice and why are we doing it? And I
Yeah.
have such a deep reverence and respect that I now feel like the humility is the point. The um the point towards the classic Indian spirituality is the point. And
Mm-hmm.
if I am going to be a teacher of this ancient wisdom, then those things should always be at the heart of the message and at the heart
Yeah.
of my practice and my teaching.
Yeah.
Um, and so I came back from India like, okay, well, I haven't had a job in a while and I don't want to go back to the slog of corporate, but I don't really know what I'm doing next. And there was a lot of anguish of like, well, where do I put my time and talent? And where am I supposed to live? And
Mm-hmm.
what am I being called to become? And how am I going to earn money?
Yes.
Like, is this a practical choice?
Yes.
And so around that time, one of my followers actually reached out to me and he's like, hey, like I've been following your work for such a long while and I'm a huge fan. And did you know that there's a psychology and spirituality program at Columbia University? And I think you'd be additive here. And I think that you should apply. And I'm like, I just climbed down from the mountains in India. Like, what do you mean graduate school? Like, I had never even contemplated going back to school.
Yeah.
Um, but I thought to myself, like, if you don't know what to do yourself, like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
just follow what's curious to you now, follow what's interesting to you now.
Mm-hmm.
And, we were talking a little bit in the pre-show about like trust and surrender and
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
knowing that there is a benevolent, loving source that's always guiding your life,
Mm-hmm.
and that all you have to do is just take the next step and then the
Yeah.
next step and then the next step. And
Yeah.
so when I tell you no part of me wanted to move back to New York City, but I did because I
Yeah.
had this amazing opportunity to go to school. So the past
Yeah.
year I earned a master's in psychology with a concentration in spirituality, and I'm just following this thread because what is interesting to me is ancient wisdom and modern science and the philosophy of yoga
Mm-hmm.
and world religion and figuring out how all these things intersect, respecting unique epistemologies, but also there's so much overlap.
Yeah.
And at the center of it, it is a search for God and like
Mm-hmm.
what is the life that I'm supposed to be living, and how can I deepen my relationship with the divine so that I can live that life in service
Yeah.
and make the best use of my 100 years on earth.
Yeah, yeah. So full body chills. That is, this is why we connected in the way that we did because I also love this interplay of ancient wisdom and modern science, and how modern
Yeah,
science is really just proving what ancient wisdom knew all along, and not just yogic wisdom. I say that all the time. Like that happens to be a type of wisdom that I have spent a lot of time studying and reflecting and working and learning, and all of I'm steeped in that more than I am in other types of ancient wisdom, but I love them all and they all point in the same direction. And what you described in this journey that you took is something that I tell my clients to do all the time, which is to when they're looking for their svadharma, when they're trying to understand, like, what is my purpose? Why am I here?
yeah,
What's the meaning of my life? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? And many people come feeling kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? disenchanted. They feel like it feels very dull. It feels very black and
Mm,
white. It lacks color and vibrancy and purpose and meaning. And I say, follow the path of fascination. And that is exactly what you
mm,
did. The next thing that caught your attention and fascinated you, you dove into it. And then the next thing, and you just kept following with that surrender, with that trust in the divine, saying, I don't actually know where this is leading me. I don't know
yeah.
what's going to come from this. I just know that I have to do it. Like my heart is calling me forward, and I am
Hmm.
choosing to follow that drive, that pull that's inside of me, and trusting that I have that for a reason, that there is a reason that
Totally.
I feel this pull, and that one day that reason will be revealed to me. And
Sure.
that's, I think, one of the beautiful gifts of yoga as well, is because we end up through the physical practices becoming very embodied, really being able to be in our bodies and to
Hmm.
listen to and hear and interpret the messages that our bodies are sending us. We get in touch with that intuitive part of our soul, and you had to really trust yourself to be
Hmm.
doing all of that.
Yeah, and no one teaches you how to trust yourself.
Yeah.
If we
No.
really think about that, you know
No.
what I mean? It's not like a part
Yeah.
of standard curriculum at school. It's like, no, this is how you become a good student, or like, this is how you follow the corporate path, or this is what,
Yeah.
you know, this is what the trail is. You like make good
Yeah.
grades, you get a good job, you work that job and you pay into a 401(k), and then like
Yes.
the, you know what I mean? Like the pot of gold is at the end of the rainbow. And
Yes.
I just tired of that. Like I
Yeah.
just got like I didn't know what I was doing any of this for anymore. And I
Yeah.
thought to myself, like, I'm making rich people richer. Like I'd rather make myself
Yeah.
rich.
Right.
And it was a different kind of rich. It was like I want to
Hmm.
be rich in spirit. I want to be rich
Yeah.
in life. I want to be rich in friendship. I want to be rich in love. I want to be
Yes.
rich in health. I
Yeah.
want to um, live my life instead of just surviving my life.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got to Columbia that I actually dove into the research in positive psychology that I
Hmm.
understood exactly what you just said about people. I don't know what I'm meant to be doing, and like, what is
Hmm.
my purpose here on earth?
Hmm.
Do you know, Katie, that 70% of people don't have a meaningful understanding of their own unique character strengths? That's a third
I
of
did
us.
not know that statistic, but that is wow, mind-boggling.
It, yeah, like that statistic stopped me dead in my tracks. And I saw myself represented in that statistic
Yeah.
because I'm someone who was, like, oh, you're the leader of the class, or you're on the honor roll, or you're smart, or you're type A, or you're this, or you're that. And like knowing myself through other people's lens, and
Yeah.
quite frankly through other people's expectations of like
Hmm.
what it means to be a
Hmm.
good girl, what it means to be a good student, what it means to
Yeah.
be a good worker, etc.
Yeah.
And when you actually take the time to self-study the
Hmm.
svadharma and
Hmm.
go into the depths of like, well, what makes me me, what is my svabhaya, like what
Hmm.
is my unique inner nature and my composition of strengths. And so I dove headfirst into this research and dedicated like 5 or 6 months of study into um, the VIA Institute character strengths. And
Hmm.
what I have found is that across time, across culture, across religion, across various wisdom traditions, there are 6 universal virtues that all human beings have. So that's wisdom, courage, humanity, justice, temperance, and transcendence. And I like to think of it as like our own individual fingerprint of like what it is to be a human and have moral excellence.
Yeah.
And these 6 universal virtues actually break down into 24 character strengths. So you can see how like creativity would fall off of the wisdom for you, that like
Hmm.
Instagram might not be your platform, but Substack is, right? So you can
Yeah.
use your
Hmm.
creativity in that capacity.
Yeah.
Um, or like some people are so highly courageous that they don't need a lot of information before they take action. And other people are like, you know what, I favor more on the temperance and the prudence side, and I
Yeah.
like to gather information first. But
Mhm.
anyhow, knowing who you are and knowing what your strengths are
Mhm.
puts you in a position then to go, oh, this is how I can serve. Like, this is what I'm
Yes.
meant to be doing because it's
Yes.
already within me. And
Yeah.
so when you look at the Gita or you look at, some of the other philosophical classical texts in Indian spirituality, you see that, like, it's not about finding your purpose outside of you. It's about
Yeah.
discovering it and cultivating it
Yes.
and embodying it, as you just
Yes.
said. And
Yes.
so whether you're looking at this topic from the lens of modern science or whether you're looking at it from the lens of ancient wisdom, it's self-development is just self-knowledge. You've got
Mhm.
to know who you are, and there
Yes.
are specific ways to kind of like break that down. But if you aren't operating in your strengths, depression is what's waiting for you.
Yeah.
Like, most of the time, there are, straight over the plate like clinical depression diagnoses. I'm not negating that that's true, but like a lot of the time, people are just underserved or
Yeah.
underusing what inherently makes them them because they're
Yes.
contorting or trying to fit someone else's expectation, or they've got imposter syndrome or whatever your unique sauce is,
Yeah.
whatever your unique challenge is. But underusing your strengths or not knowing your strengths is
Mhm.
actually a direct path to depression and to
Yeah.
disorientation and to a life that's not well lived. And
Mhm.
so this was like rocking my world. Like, everything that I was reading at the university, I thought, well, yoga already said that, or like yoga said that in
Yeah.
a different way
Yes.
or through a different door. And
Yeah.
so now what I'm trying to do in my work is piece all of these things together such that it's a very practical explanation for the everyday
Yeah.
person to go,
Yeah.
oh, I get it. Like, I should be doing that. Or if I just take these few steps, like, maybe you're not ever going to be deep into like Hindu philosophy. Maybe you're not ever going to read a 25-page research paper. But if
Yeah.
I can start to blend these two things together and help you understand, like, you've got strengths, you've got to find them, cultivate
Yeah.
them, sharpen those skills, and go
Yes.
serve. And
Yeah.
then your purpose will find you. Then I want to do
Yes.
that for people.
Yeah, yeah, that's so beautiful. And I think we first of all grew up in a world where we outsourced our knowing as you were describing, culture, parents, school, friends,
Mhm.
social media, anywhere. Our knowing is outsourced instead of insourced. And then when it comes to these, what are my strengths, talents, gifts? What's my, natural constitution? At least for me, and I think this is pretty common, we have ideas in our head about what is available to us.
Mhm.
And those ideas are, there's a very finite number of things that are available to us in our minds. But when
Mhm.
we start taking down those walls and say, like, I don't need to fit within a label. I don't have to put myself into a culturally accepted box.
Mhm.
Then so much more opens up. So much more opens up to us as far as who we actually are and who we came here to be and how we came to serve. Because it really is all about serving, right? All of this
Mhm.
self-development is first we serve ourselves because it is, like you said, a road to depression when we don't know who we are, or anxiety,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
a lot of turmoil within our relationships, right? Because things are out of alignment. Our true self is not aligned with our our perception of who we are and with our how we operate in the world. And that misalignment causes problems in every aspect of your life, from your how you
Totally.
personally feel to how you parent to how you're in relationship to how you work, all of those things. So this coming into alignment is going to serve the individual because they're going to live a more easeful life, but then it's serving the greater population because whatever we do, however we are here to serve in whatever way, that ripples outward.
Mhm.
And I really do believe that our world is struggling right now. It's really struggling. And I believe in large proportion that is happening because we have been, as individuals, so pulled off of our center, so pulled
Mhm.
away from the truth of who we are. And so that misalignment is creating reverberations of misalignment.
Mhm.
And if we were to come back to center, to really truly know ourselves, our gifts, our talents, what we're here to express and give, there would be so much more harmony within ourselves and then more harmony within the world.
200% agree with what you're saying. I think just the way that we've made so much advancement talking about mental health and strengthening our mental health. We've always
Mhm.
known that we need to be physically strong. And in American culture, we see a huge emphasis on physical strength. I think
Mhm.
that we need to talk about cultivating spiritual strength too,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
this is so malnourished or so
Yeah.
undernourished. And we forget that there's so many ways to divide, right? Whether it's like right or left, blue or red, rich or poor, old or young. Like there's so
Mhm.
many camps to your point, like
Yeah.
labels.
Labels. Yeah.
There's so many ways to divide that I think we forget what's available to us is also unity. And
Mhm.
that, I see things through a lens of, am I like all is love, right? And so anything
Mhm.
that's not love is just an error in seeing. And
Mhm.
so I think we've been in an error. I think that
Yeah.
we've been in a mode where we're living in the material without
Mhm.
really respecting that everything is spiritual and
Mhm.
truly that every human being is a spiritual creature. Whether you choose
Yeah.
to tap in or not is an individual choice. But when you actually study the
Mhm.
brain scientists are finding, and this is research coming out of Columbia, it's coming out of Harvard, it's coming out of all these top schools, is that we used to think about the brain as like a production machine. It produces thoughts and it produces emotions in a psychosomatic capacity. But actually, our brains are more like antennas, we're finding, and that
Mhm.
they're capable of receiving universal consciousness. And it's up to us as human beings, as human creatures, to create the conditions to hear and to
Mhm.
receive and perceive those messages. And so
Yeah.
we do this through yoga, through meditation, through prayer, and through service,
Mhm.
because that's what we're meant to do. Is we're meant to figure out, like you use the word easeful life, and
Mhm.
I think we're meant to have an easeful mind but have a useful life. And so how
Mm.
can you still the fluctuations of the mind and get clear, one pointed focus, right? What is my
Mhm.
drishti, like what is my goal here, and then use your life vehicle to be of service. And
Yeah.
so it wasn't until like really this past year or two that I have started to figure that out for myself, like
Yeah.
through the academic pursuit, through a series of like start stop overs and like hitting
Yeah.
red walls. And yeah, this was all kicked off by a depression. And
Yeah.
like depression is also an invitation into a new portal if you choose
Mhm.
to see it that
Yes.
way. And
Yes.
so for me, it's just been really helpful to go through like the intellectual pursuit to understand like, oh, this is how my brain is designed. And like
Yeah.
this is what every universal religion says. And whether or
Mm.
not you choose to tap into a religious frame is personal. You are still a spiritual person that can tap um into a greater benevolent loving wisdom.
Yeah.
And the more that I pull from various arenas, the more that I see it's all the same. We're meant to
Yeah.
be here to connect, to love, and to serve. And
Yes.
it's everybody's individual responsibility to figure out through their unique character, how does that
Yes.
happen in my life? How do I make manifest my talent and what is
Mhm.
uniquely mine to give in my life? And that's just
Yes.
what's lighting me up right now is like I
Yeah.
think I'm I think I'm figuring out for myself. So I want to then
Yeah.
turn my teaching into helping other people figure that out for themselves.
Yes, yes. And that I am so passionate about that as well. And because I think that we all have, as you said, it's really, we all have this one svadharma, right?
Yeah.
It's to give and receive love. Like if we want to put it in the most simplistic terms, but
Hmm.
how we do that is very different for every single one of us. And it is based on those characteristics and it's based on our life experiences, right? We get sent certain life experiences that
Mm.
allow us to evolve in certain ways, in the ways that we were meant to evolve. And
Hmm.
then we can utilize honestly all life experiences, but I have found that the really challenging ones, the ones that we would really prefer not have come our way, are often the
Hmm.
ones that reveal the most to us
Yes.
about how we are meant to be here and how we are meant to live and to serve. And so that is such useful material. Your most challenging circumstances are just, a lot of times they're painful and we would prefer to maybe put them in our past and forget about
Hmm.
them or sweep them under the rug. But I would really invite people to dive into them and to dissect
Hmm.
them and to see what you learned about yourself from going through them. There's a
Hmm.
lot of wisdom there that
Hmm.
again, I'm not sure as a culture we necessarily promote that
Hmm.
that this is data. This is so much
Hmm.
information that you can ascertain about why you are here through the most challenging things that have happened to you in your life.
Yeah. That's so right. And I'll say there's this quote that's been like stuck in the corner of my mind for a long time. And at different parts of my journey and the most difficult parts, I'm like, do I believe this quote or do I not believe this quote? It's something that I've wrestled with for years, which is you cannot hate the experiences that have shaped you. And so like who are you in relation to all the bad crap that might have happened to you or the stuff that
Yeah.
you think that you didn't deserve or just trauma with a capital T or a lowercase t or
Yeah.
whatever it is, like we all have that one thing that we really wished was not on our plate, that we
Mhm.
didn't have to swallow whole, and we
Yeah.
did. And we
Yeah.
survived that. And so everyone who has breath
Yeah.
and who has prana right now has survived 100% of their hardest days.
Yeah.
And from a psychological perspective, I would say like the constant integration into a sense of self is what will save you. So,
Mhm.
like, you have to take the time to reflect on your experiences, be they as painful as they are. Do it
Mhm.
with a mental health professional, do it with a
Yeah.
spiritual leader, do it in a group, do it in
Mhm.
a journal, do it through yoga, but just do it
Yeah.
because that's where the wisdom is. And as soon as you can start to make meaning of your individual life experiences, that's as soon as you will be on a healing path.
Yeah.
And once you do that, and you understand like, okay, well, this was the pebble that had to fit the stone, that had to fit the wall, that had to build the castle, like
Mhm.
you'll start to see meaning in your life in a way that is not from a victimhood perspective.
Yeah.
It's empowering
Mhm.
to take control of your narrative and to hopefully arrive in a place where it's like, I don't know if that was karma. I don't know what the plan was. I don't know if why that was given to me to hold or to bear or to process or whatever, but here I am and I'm standing
Mhm.
and like maybe, maybe there's wisdom in the pain that helps me help another person.
Mhm.
And if you do that, then perhaps it will all have been worth it.
Yes. Yeah. Beautifully. And you went so many places that I was thinking in my own mind, which was the empowerment piece, the karma piece. I'd like to ask you from, and just in your personal opinion, karma is a
Mhm.
concept that I have kind of struggled with,
Mhm.
particularly in relationship. I have chronic migraine and I've had it for 13 years, and it's been one of
Mm.
the most challenging things in my life, deeply, deeply impactful in my life. I will say I would not be here having this conversation with you if it were not for chronic migraine. So I have learned
Mm.
to make meaning out of my struggle and actually be grateful for it. Although I'd be super excited if it disappeared tomorrow, but
Yeah.
I often pray. I'm like, God, I learned my lesson. Like I've got it.
Yeah.
Like you can let this one go now. So
Uh-huh.
far, I guess I haven't. I guess there's more to learn. But my question is about karma.
Hmm.
Because I myself have struggled with this. I'm like, is this karma? Like, or is this really just here to grow me? And how do you reconcile those two ideas in your own mind?
I don't know that I have like a beautifully tight answer for this. It's a topic that kind of evades me too because I have grown up in like Abrahamic Christian religions, right? And
Yeah.
so the whole idea of reincarnation at first like scared me. And then I go, let me investigate this from like an academic perspective and like let me just dive into the text and see, maybe there's not like heaven, purgatory, and hell, but like there's all different kinds of layers and just being like a guest in somebody's room and seeing like how things are framed
Yeah.
or like what
Yeah.
color the bedspread is. Like I just wanted to like kind of get curious with it. Um, and
I love that. I love that description.
yeah, yeah, like well what is her design aesthetic? Um, and yeah, I guess I read an article once that was like, look, these Eastern and Western ideas are not meant to compete with each other because as Christians, like, they believe that the soul is eternal and that it goes back to God. And that's also what Indian spirituality believes too, right? Is that like the
Mhm.
physical vessel is temporary and that the soul is eternal. And those things I can get down with,
Yeah.
I had a past life regression psychic reading when I was in India. And I, again, presented and showed up to the appointment like, I'm just going to see what's going on here. Like, I'm just going to stay
Yeah.
loose and stay agile, stay flexible, and
Yeah.
not like bring a judgment mind into this. And I was blown away by how accurate it felt in terms of like
Mhm.
my inner landscape and my inner world and some
Yeah.
of the wounds that I am carrying um as a 38-year-old woman in my
Mhm.
healing journey and then
Yeah.
knowing like oh if I were a man in a previous life like this is what it looked like and that man was previously like an older ancient woman who was very medicinal and healing and like this is what her
Mm.
unique struggle was and so it's just interesting to me. I think I don't have a clear and hard point of view of whether I like co-sign it or don't, but I'm also someone who is not seeking labels and I'm not seeking structure. I just want to understand what I'm carrying and how that makes
Mhm.
manifest in my body, and then what I can do in this lifetime to alleviate myself of pain, or maybe if karma is real, that I will help my soul evolve in the next physical vessel where it takes shape. And
Yeah.
so, like in my body, I experience a lot of like joint pain and inflammation, and I'm
Mhm.
very cracky, and my body is super loud in yoga. And I feel like God, I'm just too young to feel this damn old. Like I can't, like this is not right, And like I think maybe like the ego mind wants to go like, oh, that's just my karma.
All right.
But if it's my karma, then it's my mission in this body to like
Yeah.
calm down, do the yin,
Yeah.
take the ghee butter, eat foods that are nourishing and that will not activate, that high vata energy and everything
Yeah.
else. Like I've got to really know my body's unique composition and needs. And
Yeah.
that's actually how I got into studying Ayurveda and
Mhm.
feeling like, oh, this is a whole other like sister science that I can pour into and start to know
Yeah.
myself better.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Katie. I feel like I'm less interested in like, is karma real or is it not real? And more into
Yeah.
like, okay, well, this is in me, regardless of where it came from or
Right.
if whether it's my
Right.
fault. And
Yes.
so like it's my responsibility now to like take care of this vessel in this time period as best as I
Yeah.
possibly can.
Yeah.
and what's my way of doing that, and like how do
Yeah.
I get the help that I need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. And I feel like I've come to the same place because regardless of what your struggle is, whether it be a physical struggle or some other, there's many ways that life challenges us. The challenge is here and it's now.
Yeah.
And the question really is not why is it here or how did it get here or what did I
Mhm.
potentially do in a previous life to cause this? But what am I going to do with it? What am I going to do
Mhm.
with it here and now? And how am I going to transform this struggle into meaning? And
Mhm.
here we go back to service, meaning and then potentially into service, because we know that we're here and we're having this life.
Mhm.
You may or may not believe in lives, past lives or future lives, but you have to believe in this life because here you are with breath in your body. So, how do you take those struggles and metabolize them into something that's going to serve you and then potentially serve other people?
Exactly.
Well, this is wonderful. So, tell me, so you just finished for your graduate program. What is next
Mhm.
for you?
I'm building a business. So I'm going full in on the yogipreneur. I'm going to figure out a way to package all the knowledge that I have gained over, just 38 years of being a woman and walking this world and being in the business world and needing, practical output. Like, how do I build a business in yoga? Like, how do I sustain myself monetarily? But
Yeah.
also the psychological components of learning the evidence-backed and research-based interventions that help people in their lives, through psychodrama, through journaling, through learning one's individual character strengths and
Mhm.
figuring out one's life purpose.
Yeah.
I also deeply studied somatics and will bring that
Mhm.
right back into my yoga teaching. So, taking all of this knowledge and putting it in a way that I can practically help other women and other
Yeah.
people is my North Star, because I believe I had a huge privilege in going to Columbia and that it's my responsibility now to serve others who may not ever cross those gates and
Yeah.
sit in those classrooms, and to really show back to the very point at hand, how we started the conversation, that like there's so much more that unites us. There's so
Mhm.
much more actually when you look at scripture and we look at religion, you look at wisdom traditions, you look at research, like it's all kind of the same. We're just
Yeah.
coming at it through a different
Mhm.
lens.
Yeah.
And if we change our posture and we open our heart to the idea that we're way more similar than we are different, and actually
Yeah.
human beings have been living for thousands and thousands and thousands of years and coming across the same philosophical questions, like
Mhm.
maybe we could just exhale a little bit and help each other out and like give back, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what I'm building now. And I am writing on Substack, I'm posting on Instagram. I will be debuting a podcast in August.
Yay!
So
So exciting. What's it going to be called?
it's called Wild Logic.
Oh, I love it. All right.
Yes, so
So
you'll have to come
exciting.
and be a guest on my
I would
podcast
love
next.
that. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just trying to like put my creativity out and serve and trusting and
Mhm.
surrendering that like the right people will find me, and
Yeah.
that, this work will serve. It's designed to serve, and that, as teachers, as educators, as spiritual
Mhm.
guides for people, like you really can't fail if you
Yeah.
are teaching from the heart of the practice and
Yeah.
you are putting into practice what you believe to be true about the power
Yeah.
of yoga. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just the truest truth that if you are practicing yoga, you will be transformed. There
Yeah.
will be a transformation in your life.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I'm just letting that guide me and knowing that like, yes, I'm the doer here and I have to like practically get things done, but also
Mhm.
I'm being guided by a much greater force
Yeah.
and trusting that things will work themselves out.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, you're essentially allowing yourself to be a channel. That's how I think of it. Like I
Mhm.
pray every day to be a channel for the divine. and to allow the divine to come through me. And when you're really in your essence, you can actually
Mhm.
feel that happening. And
Totally.
it's really a magical, wonderful feeling where you feel like something is just flowing through me and coming out of me, but I'm actually not in control of it. I had to be the doer, as you said. I had to do certain things and plan and get things in place. But then it's just this receptivity, and this surrender and allowing. And that is such a gift in this human life to be able to experience that.
It is true. It is
Yeah.
true. And the practice helps us to clear the channel
Yes.
and to sweep the gunk out and just
Yeah.
be that open receptor and
Yeah.
yeah, like face people shoulder to shoulder, chest to chest, lay it bare and
Yeah.
be like, I think we undervalue sometimes just the ministry of presence, like just being with
Yeah.
people in their journey. And that's what's so powerful about walking into a yoga class, which is like, we're
Yeah.
just gonna be here as a group and
Yeah.
move individually in a collective fashion. And there is some kind of ministry that happens when you're a teacher holding that space and
Yeah.
guiding that collective. And that in and of itself is a service. And so,
Yes.
yeah, I suppose that your audience is mostly yoga teachers or like in the yoga world. I just want to remind there's so many different like metrics and do I have to be social media and I'm trying to earn a buck and I'm doing the thing and da 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 and like all of that has its place, but also like you're guiding people back to themselves.
Yeah.
And when you guide people back to themselves, the truest of our nature is love. Like
Hmm.
that's what this is. It's a practice of coming back to love and
Yes.
and loving God. And like
Yeah.
that's just no easy task. And I don't
Yeah.
think that it needs to be undervalued. And I
Yeah.
don't think that we need to skip over that part. Like we need
Yeah.
that's the quiet part that we should be saying out loud. Like,
Yes.
really,
No,
it's a
truly,
journey back to God.
I think one of the hardest parts of learning to be a teacher, like in the setting of an asana class, was that learning to hold the space, learning
Mhm.
that you don't always need to be talking, right? You can be quiet.
Mhm.
And in that quiet presence, you're actually you're creating the space or the environment for people to come back to themselves because
Mhm.
teachers I always tell my students I don't really like the word yoga teacher because
Mhm.
to me teacher implies like I have knowledge and you don't and I'm going to impart this knowledge on you, where
Mhm.
I really believe that you actually carry all of the knowledge within you and I can maybe help reorient you back to what you already know. I can shine a light on something that you've maybe forgotten, but you are your own best teacher. The wisdom lies within you. And
Mhm.
holding that space is that opportunity for
Mhm.
them to turn around and look inside and see the jewels that reside within them. And I don't think
Yeah,
we place enough emphasis on that understanding that's actually you really have to train your own nervous system to be able to do
a
that.
100%. A
Mhm.
100%. I
Yeah.
mean, I hope to take one of your classes one day.
We're not
Sounds
that
like
far apart.
you're
We can make it happen.
yeah, yeah. It's just anytime that I speak with another teacher, I'm like, yeah, it's like you're doing the work. Like I'm sure that your class is so magical, but also just like very lived in practical. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? We don't have to like create the best and like have the yoga candles and the, you know,
Yes.
Buddha statues and like make it all the it's just
Yeah.
about like can we be silent together? Can we go
Yes.
inward together? Can you like
Yeah.
feel held in this space? And like there's a
Yeah.
real gift and there's a real art to that. And
Yeah.
I just always rock with the teachers who like start there and
Yeah.
know that it's actually the philosophy. Once the philosophy passes through a human heart, like that's when yoga happens.
Yeah, beautiful. So one
Yeah.
last question for you. What is your daily sadhana? What do you do? What do you what keeps you centered and grounded and rooted in this wisdom? Because I think it's just human nature to get pulled off of our center. Life is complicated and busy and loud. And I really do believe in the power of a daily practice, but that can look very different for different people. So what is it for
Mhm.
you?
So I recently am thumbing through the 5 Minute Gita. Forgot the name of the author, but I'll text you, put it in the show
Yeah,
notes. Um,
yeah.
and he helpfully breaks down each of the chapters in the Gita in a way that you can sip your coffee and thumb through
Yeah.
2 or 3 pages and go, okay, this is the heart of that chapter, and this is what I think I'll remember today.
Okay.
But I have had a year-long practice of gratitude. And this is something that, again, through studying at Columbia and specifically studying positive psychology and the healing
Mhm.
power of hope, it was like square between the eyebrows. Like, you have to do this. Like, there are so many positive health benefits that if you're not doing this, like, I don't know
Yeah.
what's wrong with you.
Right.
Um, so every single day, and so I was doing it individually for a long time, and then now
Yeah.
my fiance and I do it together. And so
Mm.
it's very simple. It's just 3 things that you're grateful for every single day. And we usually start our day with that gratitude practice. And it could be something as simple as like, I'm really grateful that I have a full drawer of socks. Like, just seeing full clean socks in my drawer, like, that feels really nourishing to me. Or some days it's like, I just really thank God that I'm a woman, like that I'm in a woman's body and that I
Yeah.
get to like live this life as a divine feminine.
Yeah.
It could be anything. Like, I just love the taste of this coffee this morning.
Yeah.
Um, but when you are in a gratitude practice, what you're training your brain to do is to notice the good, then you hunt
Mhm.
for the good, then you reflect on the good, then you see more good, and then you share more good, and your life is just more
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And now I move through the world looking for things to make my gratitude list. And you're essentially flooding your brain with positivity and with the virtue of gratitude, which is
Hmm.
the queen of all virtues. And
Yeah.
so I've seen such a marked difference in my life, just having that baseline of 3 things that I
Hmm.
can be grateful for today. We can always
Yeah.
be, you know, I want to be richer. I want to be smarter. I want to be more in shape. I want to move there. I want to have that house.
Hmm.
But can you be grateful for what you have now?
Yeah.
And so that really is the core of my practice. And then I'm writing a lot. Like, I'm just allowing myself to write for myself
Hmm.
and then deciding, again, with that wisdom and that discernment, like what goes online, like what do I share with other people versus what's just for me. And
Yeah.
so these three, and then of course like practicing yoga. So these
Yeah.
these things are with me all the time, and it's like I'm constantly toggling between like, I know there's a positive benefit to this, and like I'm doing it because it just actually feels good to my body now.
Yeah.
And creating the habit is is the first step, because then without it, I'm like, oh, I feel kind of scattered if I'm not journaling,
Yeah.
or like I'm feeling kind of down. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, you haven't done your gratitude practice in 2 days, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would say like the silent killer is the gratitude practice. 10 out of 10 recommend. You can start today. You can start with an iPhone notes. You can text it to your best
Yeah.
friend. You can write it in a post-it note. Just start
Yeah.
noticing the things that you're grateful for, and your life will change.
Yeah, I believe that. And I know there's a lot of science behind it, and yoga supports it as well. So, everything
Totally.
you mentioned is part of the practice, right? That's all part of the yoga practice. And that's what we don't talk about as much. It's like, oh, I didn't go to yoga class today, or I didn't do a YouTube video or
Mhm.
whatever it was. But everything you just mentioned is yoga. It's
It's
living yoga.
yoga.
Yeah, and it's
You're
a
right.
it's a living practice.
Hmm.
And the gratitude piece, I couldn't agree with you more. I did not know the science, as I don't know the science as well as you. I can just say personally in my life, um, how powerful it's been and how we can truly train our brains towards gratitude. If you
Totally.
do it long enough, it becomes a habit. just like we habitually look at things negatively, we can actually start to habitually look at things positively. And you just start reframing your whole life. And it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just take that one step further by saying that as humans, the brain is designed with a negative bias. And
Hmm.
so a lot of people don't know that, that
Yeah.
your brain is actually not wired to keep you happy. It's
Yeah.
wired to keep you safe. And
Yeah.
I think like 80% negative thoughts a day. And so
Mhm.
you have to actively look
Yes.
for positivity and actively look for synchronicity and gratitude and glimmers so
Hmm.
that we can have a fighting chance at balancing
Yeah.
those scales.
Yeah.
And this is what I want people to know is like there's nothing wrong with you. Like if you don't know what you're meant to
Yeah.
do, or if you're feeling like shit right now, or if like things are too hard or whatever, like you
Yeah.
feel negative, like that's okay. We're all feeling that way too. Like we all are a part of the
Yeah.
human experience here, but there are really practical ways that you can adapt your neurobiology. And there are practices like yoga
Hmm.
that can help you feel really fluid in your body, feel really
Hmm.
easeful in your mind, and find
Hmm.
purpose for your life.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I could not agree more. I could not agree more. And that, getting pulled off center is going to keep happening. Like it's not a failure, as you're saying. It is just our biology. But that's why the
yeah,
practice is so beautiful because it keeps pulling us back to center, back to center.
a
So,
1000%.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Marissa. This
Thank
was
you.
so lovely. I am so excited we got to do this. I will absolutely put your Instagram, your Substack, and if you have a podcast link for me, I will
Yes,
also put that in the show notes. And that way my audience can find you.
amazing. Thank you for having me as your guest, and
Oh,
I look forward to staying connected with you.
yeah, absolutely. Namaste, friend.
Namaste. Goodbye.
Bye.